What's up guys, and welcome to a very special video. This is a segment from my recent charity stream for JDRF. We did a 12-hour charity stream raising money to find a cure for type 1 diabetes, and we had a couple of very special guests on. This one was Mr. Joe Whyte, who played Chris Redfield in Resident Evil 1 Remake. Funny guy, very, very good friend of mine who very kindly agreed to join the stream for this wonderful charity. So without any further ado, get ready to laugh and just join us for a really great segment. Let's go.
Biggest technophobe.
I am the biggest technophobe. Okay, never mind. It's all good. So let's just get cracking. Let's get cracking. Right.
So
here he is.
okay, yeah.
Let's go.
And my AirPods.
Your AirPods. Are they working? Yes.
They're messed up.
Oh no.
Because technology, because yeah.
Technology's evil.
I have a great love-hate relationship, mostly hate relationship with computers, and I spend my entire life on one. So of course it's going to deny me.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna hopefully door skip's working and all of the.
There are only 3 stars members left now.
Here we go. We're about to get cracking. So guys, yeah, any questions for Joe? Put them in the chat. Ellie will pick them up, and we're just gonna have fun for the next couple of hours on this.
Is everyone all right?
Barry. Where's Barry?
Can I see the chat? I cannot, because the chat is,
No.
how are you streaming this? Is this going
It's on
YouTube?
Twitch.
I'll send the link in the chat
Yeah.
for you, Joe.
I'll go and
Gotcha.
check it out.
Okay,
All right.
there we
Jill and
go.
I will stay and secure this area.
Lovely, lovely.
Lovely.
Chris,
I'm working on my Manchester.
take care.
Yeah.
I'm from Manchester, but I'm putting on my well-articulted voice currently.
Well
Your standard
articulated.
My
Yeah.
standard British, not me dirty northerner.
Dirty.
Dirty northerner.
I love the dirty northerner. Bring it on.
Not many people do.
No, I'm learning. I'm learning how to do Manchester by watching Ted Lasso.
Oh, classic.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Let's see. Start watching. Have you seen it? Oh, there's a bit of a delay. Okay, I'll turn off. the
Yeah, there's a
sound.
little bit of delay. Yeah, unfortunately.
That's my cousin right there. He had an eating disorder. He likes to eat people. We just call him Cousin Jerry.
Cousin Joe. Fuck's sake.
Wesker?
Did I warn you guys? Joe is absolutely hilarious. Just
Oh.
saying.
Where did they go?
After a couple of drinks, maybe.
One day we'll
It's
go
too
to the
early.
pub. One day.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. It's a little too early for me to drink here, and it's Mother's Day, so I have
Oh,
to watch
of course it's
Iron
Mother's.
Size asked, hi Joe, how did you audition for Chris? And when his name came up, did you know what it was? Had you played the games before?
No, I had not played the games before, because when I got the part, I was not a gamer. Well, I shouldn't say that, because I enjoyed a certain kind of video game back then. I mostly liked text-based games like Zork. All of the Zork games, if you remember those, the Infocom Zork games. I got the job in a very, very odd way. My wife at the time, she's still my wife. I call her my first wife because that, keeps her on her toes. That's assuming that there could be a second wife if she doesn't watch it. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. My wife would have my ass on a hook if she heard me. She was working at a company called Sound Deluxe in Hollywood, where they were doing the sound for Resident Evil. They were doing the sound design and the voiceovers and all that stuff. And so I went in to have lunch with her one day, And the casting director, Carol Rougier, who is also a voice actor herself. She's done a bunch of stuff. Look her up. Ruggier, I believe is how you spell her last name. She was there, and they were doing some casting for Resident Evil. And I had just begun doing professional voiceover at the time. I was working at Disney Animation, where I worked for 16 years. And I was doing a lot of scratch dialogue. And one of the directors said, "Joe, you're pretty good at this. You should have an agent." And he hooked me up with an agent. I got my first agent that way. And so she said, "Hey, Joe, you're doing voiceover now, aren't you? Would you like to audition for this video game that we're doing called Resident Evil?" And I had never heard of it. You know, only the first one had come out, the 1996 version. With what's his name? Hold on, the guy who did the original voice for Chris Redfield.
Oh yes. Oh God, what's his name?
His last name is Russo. Hold on, I'll tell you exactly. Let's see, video game, Resident Evil. He unfortunately, this gentleman passed away in 2000.
Yeah, he's had a car accident, didn't he? I think, if I remember rightly. Yeah, I think so.
Oh, that's horrible. Wow. Why can I not find the original? You know what? I'll just look up Charlie Przlowski, because you know who Charlie is, right?
We know Charlie. Yeah. No, don't go.
He's the best. I hope to meet up with him someday. We did The Keeper's Diary together.
Oh!
He did the live action. I did the voice of the Keeper in that. That's coming out soon. Let's see. Resident Evil 96. Here it is. Okay, so the first guy was Ramsey Scott. Was his name. Ramsey Scott.
Uh-huh.
And unfortunately, yeah, he passed in 2000. But anyway, I was there at the studio, and she said, "Would you like to audition for this?" And I said, "Sure, yeah, that'd be fantastic." So I went in the booth, and what their request was, they said, "Can you match the tonal quality of this original voice that we had for the game?" And I was able to do that. And they really liked how I was matching the original dialogue. So they gave me the part. And when we started recording, when we started doing the actual gig, after a few lines, they said, "You know, we kind of like what you're doing naturally. So don't try to match the old lines anymore. Just kind of do them the way you feel." And so probably a third of the game is me trying to sound like the original, and 2/3 of the game is me kind of taking my own take on it. And at the time, not really knowing the backstory of Chris, you know, when you do, it's not like when you do video game voiceover, you really don't do like rehearsals. You don't get a lot of information about you know, the characters' backstories. So you get very little time to actually work on the character. So I just kind of brought, you know, I saw the footage that they were showing me, all of the animations that you're looking at, you know, like the what you're looking at right now on the screen, all of that was already done. They had most of the animation for the game was already finished. So I was trying to match, except for the voice sync, you know, the lip sync for the dialogue. So my interpretation of the character was that he was just this everyman, you know, not a superhero, not a ultra tough boulder punching guy. He's just this average dude running around in this horrific condition. So that was kind of what I strove for in my delivery, was just kind of, I'm just a guy, and I'm not gonna put on a hero voice and talk like this. Because that's not who he was to me. You know, he was just like this. He was me, actually. I kind of felt like he was just this average guy. And you know, if I were in his boots, and I will be soon because my cosplay is almost done.
Yay!
I probably would have shat myself and left the house and been devoured by dogs. That's just, probably what would have happened to me. Anyway, that's.
I mean, fair play.
When I did he was 40 when he died. I'm looking at the chat. 40 when he died. That's
That's
so
sad.
sad.
Yeah.
Oh man. I was, I think, 34. Let's see. I would have been 2000. So I was 38 when I did the recording. And Chris is supposed to be, I think, 24 in the video game. I think he's supposed to be very young.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that if I've heard rumors. I don't mean to put forward something that may not be true, but I understand that they may be doing a remake of Remake.
I hope.
That
well,
would be done.
So. I don't know.
Yeah, wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah, no one can take
your
your place, though. Just saying.
Well, I fervently hope that Capcom throws me a bone and at least gives me some small part in the remake. But I doubt that they will, because they've never called me back for any of the other games. And that makes me sad, because I would love to still be a part of the franchise, even though, I got to do Chris. Yeah, it makes me sad. I would love to be in one of the new ones, even just as some small ancillary character. But so start that mail in petition. There you go. Thank you for saying petition. Silent Brit 91. Start a petition to get me back into the games, and I'll whatever money I make, I'll share with everybody.
Hell yeah.
Don't get excited, because it won't be much.
Just Simi asks, what question do you wish people would ask you but have never asked you before about the work you've done?
Oh.
I think I'd like to be asked how I feel inside. No, I'm kidding.
How do you feel inside, Joe?
Kind of squishy. There's blood and tissue and other zombie satisfying things. What question do I wish I would be asked? That's an excellent question. I never really thought about it that way. I've done several podcasts now talking about my experiences doing voiceover for Chris, and I've never been asked that, how I felt about it. Yeah, I think at its core, what I imagine survival horror to be when it's at its best is that it's pitting normal people against horrific conditions, horrific situations.
Yeah.
And that's what I find the most chilling. That's what I find the most frightening about being in these situations, is being someone who doesn't have superpowers or extraordinary weapons, or you really have to fight zombies with a fork. That's what I find, because it seems like the odds are really against you at that point. And you have to figure it out. You have to use your brain, and you have to try to find unique and inventive ways of getting through the situation. That's what I really enjoy. And I wish that I think that they kind of went back to that with Ethan in Village.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of a normal guy. I mean, there's that supernatural aspect of Ethan. I mean, is he alive, or is he dead, or is he made of the gooey stuff, or what is he really? And we kind of find out at the end. But and I guess they did it in 7 as well. I mean, what's the main character's name in 7?
It's Ethan. Yeah.
It's Ethan, right? Of course. Yeah. So I mean, getting back to that, I think is a great thing, and I hope that 9. We're all hearing, of course, the rumors about Resident Evil 9 coming out. I hope that they embrace that with their main characters, whoever their main character protagonists are. I hope that they stick to that idea of them being normal people stuck in a horrific situation.
Yeah, I like that.
You know, Ethan is a faceless jobby man. I like that.
Fuck's sake,
Joe
Crags.
Choice. Joe, what would be your dream VA role?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Actually, no, it's not tough. I am in awe of Last of Us, the Last of Us series, and I would love to have been Joel in Last of Us.
Oh, yes.
And I'm trying to remember what the name of the actor is, because I have no brain left.
Troy Baker, I think. Is it Troy?
Yes, right. Yeah. He's one of my heroes in voiceover, but to play that part, what an amazing part. I mean, talk about someone who's absolutely screwed morally, because of the choices that he has to make. You know, him loving his daughter so much and not wanting to see a second, 12, 14, however old she is, and that the 12-year-old murdered. I mean, even if it's to save humanity, what a moral choice. You know, and he's been through so much in his life, the character, that he's like, nothing is going to save this world. Even if there's a cure, it's not going to save the horridness, the absolute. You know, humanity has been brought down to its base, and it's going to have to fix itself over time. This is going to have to. I'm not going to let this girl be killed for a vaccine that's not going to save anyone. It may save a few people, but ultimately, you know, we need to re-evolve as a species. I mean, I'm imagining that this is what's going through the guy's head, right? And I mean, that's an unwinnable situation.
Yeah.
How can you make that decision? I mean, for some people it's easy. You let the girl die and you save as many people as you can. But having had a daughter murdered, during the beginning of the pandemic, so the conundrum that he has inside of him, the conflict that he has inside of him, it's a brilliant character, brilliantly written, brilliantly performed by Troy Baker. I mean, that voiceover is flawless. So yeah, that would be my choice.
Yeah, good choice. I love Joel. It's through here.
I was when I first played the game, when I played 2 the first time, and that moment came in the game, I think I put my controller down and had a moment of silence, because it really affected me.
Yeah, it's not easy to watch, is it? At all?
Oh no, it's really not. And you're thinking, wait a minute, I'm in the middle of a video game. How can he's one of the? How can he die? How can you Game of Thrones this guy? You know, how can you kill a character that you love so much in the first season? Well, it's not this; it's the second season, really. But you get my point. How does the game continue without his dynamic being there? Well, the answer is that his dynamic is always there, because that's what drives Ellie to keep going forward, and that's what drives Abby to come to Jack's. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking about that game and talk about mine.
You.
Chris Redfield.
Yeah, he did
into voice acting.
Well, interestingly enough, I came to voice acting. I've been an actor since high school, so I graduated from Grover Cleveland High School in Reseda, California, in 1979, and I was an actor in high school, and went to Cal State Northridge, University California State University Northridge, and as a theater major, actually as a theater/computer science major. I kind of dropped the computer science thing after a while, but part of it stuck, and I have worked with computers ever since. But it's really kismet. I was working as a paralegal for a law firm in Century City, and the law firm closed, and I got laid off. And I got a temp job. I signed up with a temp agency and got a job at Walt Disney Feature Animation. Actually, no, that's not true. Stop lying, Joe. I got a job at Buena Vista Home Video, which is at the time, it was the video distribution arm of the Disney company. Those were the people who put out all the, at the time, video cassettes, VHS cassettes of all the Disney movies. And I got a job there as a clerk. And I did that for a few months. And then one day I got a phone call from a friend of mine's girlfriend who was working at Disney Animation, just down the street from Buena Vista Home Video. And she said, hey, I'm working on Hercules, the movie Hercules, and we're looking for a production assistant for the editorial department. Would you like to come over and join us? And my brain exploded because I've always been a Disney kid. I grew up in Southern California, so our big trip every year was to go to Disneyland. So I've always been a Disney freak. And so I went over and they hired me as a production assistant on Hercules. And that was my first job in animation.
That's
and
epic.
During that time, I mean, what are the chances of that happening, right? During that time, I met all the artists and the directors and just all the people who were involved with making the Disney movies. And I fell deeply in love with the process. Working in the editorial department of a film, you are also involved with the voiceover recordings, because editorial is the department where they take all of the storyboard sketches that the artists do of the film. So when they're working out a sequence for a film and they want to know that the dialogue is working and that it's timing out correctly, the characters are working, what they do is they take those drawings and they film them. So they'll take a screenshot of those drawings, and then they edit those together to make what's called an animatic. And they'll have artists, anyone from around the building who wants to do voiceover, they'll have people come down and do the voices of the characters as though they were the actual voiceover people. And it's called scratch dialogue. So you record the scratch, and then you put it together with all these pictures, and you put music and sound effects. And so the animatic is a mock-up of the film to get the timing right, to make sure the jokes are working, to make sure the dialogue's working. And then what they do is, once they get all that straightened out, then they have the stars come in to record the actual voiceover, and they throw the scratch away. Well, I started doing that, and because I was a ham and I was doing improv shows at the time, I used to do a show called The Impromptones, which was all musical improv, and I was in Comedy Sports Los Angeles for 15 years, and so I really wanted to be an actor, and I brought everything I could to these scratch recording sessions, and one day, one of the directors said, "Joe, you're really good." I was doing dozens of hours a week doing scratch. All the directors, I kind of became popular as a scratch performer, and they would ask me down all the time to go do scratch. And the wonderful thing about that, I mean, this is the biggest kismet factor involved here. What I was doing during those scratch sessions was training. I didn't realize it at the time, but this is the kind of school that you cannot buy. You cannot go into a situation where you're doing actual voiceover for actual directors for a film. What a gift! What a complete. If you believe in God or not, I was blessed to have been there. It was, freaky, and. So so at one point, one of the directors said, "Joe, you're really good. You should probably try to do this professionally. Let me make a call." He called a friend of his who was an agent, and they picked me up. And I started working. I was with Abrams Artists first, which then became some of the agents from Abrams broke off and formed Imperium 7, which is the agency that I'm with now and have been for years. And Clancy Brown is also with this agency. Clancy does, of course, the voice of Mr. Krabs in SpongeBob, and I got to do Mr. Krabs for a couple of the SpongeBob games. If you don't know that, it's terrible. My Mr. Krabs was horrible compared to Clancy Brown's, but hey, I booked the gig, so I took the money. Uh, but that's how I got into it, you know. And then I just started going on professional auditions and doing other video games. I did some of the Lord of the Rings games. I did 40 different voices in EverQuest 2, if you've played that game. That's how I got my start. You know, I walked in through the back door, and I just, you know, I don't know that you could do it. If you tried to do it that way, it probably wouldn't work. You know, the traditional way is you're an actor, you're going to acting school, you learn how to use your voice, you send out demo reels to agencies, and agency either will pick you up, and then you start going on auditions, and that's kind of the normal way to get into voiceover. I wasn't in Two Towers. I'm looking at the chat. I wasn't in Two Towers. I was in Battle for Middle Earth and Battle for Middle Earth 2 and Battle for Middle Earth: Rise of the Witch King. I think were the two Lord of the Rings games I was in. But and I've done voiceover for the Oregon Lottery. Hey, you buy a ticket now, that kind of stuff. I've done those kinds of voiceover gigs. And the thing about doing voiceover these days, for any of you who are interested in doing voiceover, there's so much more competition now. I'll give you an example. I'm not bad at it. I'm not the greatest. I kind of have an average voice, but I audition probably 100 to 150 times a year. Last year I booked one gig.
Bloody hell.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
and that's
But don't get too carried away.
not a bad average from what I hear. Voiceover is also very cliquey. There are people who work all the time, and all the directors in town know them, and they hire those people all the time to do voiceover. And then, of course, if you're a star, if you're a big person on TV or in films, you'll get jobs in voiceover just because of that. Not that they're not good; they're perfectly capable of doing the acting, of course. But you're also competing. Back in the day, there weren't a whole lot of celebrities who were doing, especially video games. They just didn't want to do them. So there wasn't as much competition back then. The other thing is the technology has changed so much. For $200 now, you can have a broadcast quality voiceover setup in your home. And back in the 90s, especially in the early 90s, before digital became a thing, you had to go somewhere. You had to go to a studio to get recorded, to get recorded on a professional level. Unless you were rich and had the money to buy your own recording equipment. But most people didn't have that. I do all of my auditions from home now. I don't have to go into the agency to do an audition because I have a broadcast quality setup. I have a small studio set up in my house. So that's how much the industry has changed. And know that going in, if you want to try to do voiceover, by all means, give it a shot. You never know, but it's important to know that there's a lot of competition, and to not let, if you audition 50 times and you don't book anything, don't feel bad about that. Just keep going. It's a numbers game. The more auditions you do, the higher. It's like buying a lottery ticket,
It's a game of persistence.
It really is. It really is. Even for someone who has credits like me, I audition all the time, and I rarely book. I wish I could make my living off of voiceover, and maybe if I focused on more of the industrial voiceovers, like doing books on tape and doing industrial voiceovers. I mean, industrial voiceover would be like doing voice for a video that's used by a company to teach their technicians how to do something. Those are also voiceover gigs. It is a very difficult profession, Joyce, which is why I am also a 3D modeler.
I was just about to ask you about 3D modeling. How did you kind of get into that? Like, what software do you use? I find it really interesting.
Well, that's another crazy story. And again, I was just really in the right place at the right time. When I got that job as a production assistant on Hercules, I, you know, I did that for, I think it was about 6 months, 6 or 8 months as a production assistant. And then when Hercules was done, they laid me off on a Friday. Fortunately, the following Monday, I got another temp job at Feature Animation in the operations department. So I became what they call an operations coordinator, which basically means, let's say an artist is animating in their office and the light goes out in their animation table. They would call operations, we would call the electricians, and they would, because everything was unionized. I couldn't go up and change the light bulb myself. The electricians had to do it. So I would call the electric shop, they would come bring a light bulb and replace it. So that's what I did. I did that for about a year and a half. And it was great. We had so much fun. And I was all around the building and I met all the artists and just, I mean, some of the most wonderful, funny, creative, amazing artists and technical people and editors and writers and producers. I mean, I got to tell you, it was a really magical time. That, you know, Disney Animation was just coming off of Lion King and Pocahontas, and it was a huge time at the studio, and it hadn't become super corporate yet. So I'm running around the building one day, and I poke my head in this artist's office, and he had a computer set up, and he was modeling in a program called Alias Power Animator. He was making the bell tower from Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh.
And I was like, "Wow, what are you doing? That's so cool! How are you doing that?" He said, "Well, it's called 3D modeling, and it's, you know, I make shapes and I put them in position, and then I'll go to the other departments and they'll put paint on it, and then they'll put lighting and all." And my head exploded, as it does on a regular basis if you haven't figured that out. The Disney Renaissance, exactly. I just saw that ion sized. That was the Disney Renaissance period, and I got to be there for it. And I got to tell you, for an art nerd and a Disney nerd, every day going to work was like going to Disneyland. It was just fantastic.
For real.
I'm so honored to have been a part of all that.
Dream
anyway,
job.
so it really was. It really was. And so I said, "Wow, that's really amazing," to the guy that was modeling. And he said, "Well, if you're interested," now remember, this is 95, 96, 95. There weren't a lot of modelers in the world. You know, Toy Story had just come out. 3D modeling was a new thing. There weren't colleges didn't have 3D departments. Kids weren't learning how to model at 8 or 9 years old as they are now. So he said, "If you'd like to learn, I'll set you up with an account on the system, and you can go into the artist's lounge area where they had a bunch of computers set up, and you can learn how to do it." I said, "Fantastic." So I got the Alias Power Animator handbook that was about 3 inches thick, and it just had all these tutorials that you could go through, and I went through it from cover to cover and did all the tutorials and learned how to make things. And at one point, one of the effects artists came up and said, "Hey, I've been watching you. You're doing really good work. Why don't I start giving you assignments as though you were working for me in my department? And that'll kind of teach you how production works." So I started doing that. I started doing models for him. And then I did that for a few months. And then one day, a gentleman named Kyle Odermatt, who is still at Disney Animation, came to my office. He was one of the CG leads. And he came and said, "Joe, we have an opening for a modeling trainee on Tarzan. Would you like the job?" And of course, my heart leapt out of my chest. And I said, "Of course." And that's how I got my first job as a modeler. Then Disney sent me to school, and I learned from all the artists that were there, and it was really on-the-job training, because there was literally no place else you could learn it. There was one little place in town called, what was it called? There was one little training school that worked with Alias. At the time, it was before the software had been bought out by Autodesk, who now makes Maya, which is what I use. Interesting. we were using Alias Power Animator and modeling in NURBS. For any of you who know about modeling, there's two different kinds of modeling. Well, actually, there's more than two. But the two main ones at the time were NURBS and polygons. Polygons were primarily used for video games because they were kind of a lower res. Us NURBS modelers, NURBS stands for Non-Uniform Rational B-Spline, which is the type of curve that you would use to create surfaces in Alias Power Animator. Excuse me. And the guys who were modeling in polygons, we considered them sort of the trailer trash of the modeling world because they only modeled in super low res. We were very snooty, us not NURBS modelers, you know. Oh, you're a polygon modeler. Oh, well, isn't that nice? I'm sure you're very happy doing that. That kind of, we were total jerks to those people.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with being a polygon modeler.
There is nothing, that's all I do now. And once we, the big shift came during Chicken Little was the first movie that we did in polygons. And so we had basically a month to learn how to model in polygons. And of course, all of our brains exploded, as again, mine does on a regular basis. And we were like, why didn't we know this earlier? Why didn't we know how superior polygons are to modeling in NURBS? Now, that being said, NURBS are still great for certain things. And I still use NURBS techniques. But polygons are just wonderful, and I love them. So what was the question? Oh, how did I become a modeler? That's how I became a modeler. And I stayed there until Tangled. So if you saw any films between Tarzan and Tangled, you probably saw a lot of my work. Treasure Planet. Treasure Planet.
Bolt, didn't you? Bolt, Tangled.
I did. Treasure Planet, Home on the Range, Meet the Robinsons, several little shorts that they did. Prep and Landing, the little Christmas special, which I also have a voice in. Yeah, all those. And if you look at Treasure Planet, the big ship that they fly around in space, that's my ship. And, you know, it was a magical career. It really was. I loved every minute of it. I saw Disney, the complexion of Disney animation change immensely during that time, especially when they transitioned the studio from a primarily 2D animation studio to a strictly 3D animation studio. I saw some of the best artists in the world get let go.
Oh.
And that was just heartbreaking. You know, I had artists who I don't even know how to tell you this, that I admired so much, just mega star artists coming to me, little, you know, lowly Joe Whyte, 3D modeler, and saying, hey, can you teach me how to model? Because I need to survive this.
Oh,
I need to figure out something to do. And I was like, yeah, I can try to teach you, but it's going to take, you know, it's a steep learning curve, and you know, it's going to take a while. And a lot of them just couldn't embrace 3D fast enough, and they ended up getting let go from the company. Heartbreaking. I'm glad to see that there's so much more 2D animation being done, and you know, it never really went away, especially other companies were still doing 2D stuff. I personally have always felt that the best world would have been to have the 2D and 3D people work together. You saw it in Treasure Planet. You saw it in Tarzan. You know, there's so much 2D work in Tarzan incorporated with the 3D, and I think that that's really the best way to do it. I thought it was stupid to split the company apart and say, we're only going to do 3D movies now. That just didn't make any sense. The great legacy of Disney animation is its 2D animation.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm looking at some questions here. Tarzan, Toy Story, Hercules. Yeah, were your childhood. And it was my childhood as an artist. I never went to art school. So I've always had massive imposter syndrome about working alongside these great artists, because I never went to art school. I don't consider myself an artist. I consider myself a technician who can hit artistic goals because I've done it for so long and I've trained. Boy, I keep keep talking and yapping and not letting anybody else.
That's all right,
No,
don't worry.
Kenadan has asked, have you got a favourite project from your time there? Like one you were so happy with in terms of the outcome?
I would have to say Tarzan, because it was my first film. And funny thing, my department head at the time, at some point, came to me and said, "Joe, don't get used to this," because we had a crew that was just like family. We worked so well together, and we knew we were making something new and different and wonderful. And the whole time of working on that film was just magical. I remember sitting in the theater when we went to the cast and crew party for at the end of the film, at the end of the production, and watching it for the first time on the big screen and seeing my work on the big screen for the first time. I had tears streaming down my face. It was such a moving moment. I was vibrating in my seat, and I kept my poor wife sitting next to me in the theater, and every time something of mine would come on the screen, I'd grab her leg. That's mine. That's my calendar. That's my tree. That's my. She's like, I get it. You worked on the show. I get it. I understand.
Bless
But
her.
that, and also Tangled was also, was my last film there. I got laid off after Tangled. They had a big purge. They let the 5 oldest modelers go at that time, and I happened to be in my 40s at that time, so I was old by Disney artist standards. It's all kids now. Well, that's not entirely true. There's still a lot of people who've been there for 20, 30 years. I shouldn't say it's all kids, but they do like to hire right out of college. There is a bit of ageism involved.
That's sad.
You know,
You'd think you've got people here with years of experience and
Well,
industry,
they don't wanna
know
pay.
the industry standards.
Yeah, they don't want to pay for the experience, because people with experience generally ask for more money.
Yeah.
And to be quite honest,
Oh, we've just had a
teach at-
donation, guys.
Yay!
Darren,
How
thank you
much?
for the $10. Thank you. Yes. Legend.
Thank you so much.
Mwah. People with experience know their worth. Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely. You
That's
see it
true.
everywhere, though, don't you?
But as you get older, you start taking jobs that aren't paying you what you're worth because you need to work. You got to feed the family. You need to get your Social Security numbers in, and you need to, put money into your pension. So maybe you're worth $180,000 a year, but you're going to take a job for 120 or 130 because it's all you can find. There's also, when I started, there was nobody doing this. It was a lot easier to get hired because there just weren't a lot of 3D artists. Now you've got every college in the country pumping out people who take 3D art for a couple of years and think they know how to be in a production. And they really don't. You get these kids in who are very cocky and they don't know anything about working in a production or working with a team. And it makes being in a production situation very uncomfortable. But you know why they're there? Because they've got a piece of paper that says they got a bachelor's degree. It's from some college, and they feel like now they're ready to work in the real world. Well,
Yeah, I fully get that. I started a degree doing 3D art, and I was one of the oldest ones there, and there was a big divide between the 18-year-olds fresh out of school and the older people that kind of, there was a very big behavior difference. You could definitely tell
yeah,
who was
yeah.
there because this is what they enjoyed, and who was there because it's something to do.
And you get the people who think that, unfortunately, how am I going to say this politically correctly? You get people who are in the business for the wrong reasons. They see the gloss, they see the high end part of being in the production, and they don't see all the work, all the real work that goes into it, and the fact that working with a team is a personality skill that needs to be developed over time. It's not something that someone can just walk in to a studio and be a part of. You need to be mentored. You need to be brought up in production environments to understand how personality dynamics work. And you know, how to support an entire pipeline of art from its inception all the way to its final product. There are a lot of pieces in that puzzle. You don't sit down and make something all yourself. Animation, especially, is a team game. It's very much you are responsible for your teammates and they're responsible for you. And if you can't work that way, if you think you're an auteur and you're going to go in and you know, be in charge of everything, it ain't going to work, kid. I got to be frank with you.
No, it's the same in a lot of industries as well. It's the same when I worked in archaeology. People thought, oh, Indiana Jones, you know, like,
Right.
grow up.
Yeah. You don't realize that archaeology is 99% of your time is, you know, using a toothbrush on a 2-inch square of dirt trying to figure out if there's something there.
Exactly, exactly. It's real hard work, and then they'd be like, "Oh, I broke a nail. Oh, diddums."
Right.
It's one of those professions that, you know, people don't think, oh, you know, it's easy to get into. You know, oh, I've done 3D modeling before, but there's the whole production standard, the industry standard, and I remember a lot of people arguing, well, why can't I use Blender? Why do I have to use Maya?
Right.
It's like, well, if you're wanting to work in industry and production,
Maya is the industry standard, and it still is.
Yeah.
Even though Blender's coming on strong, and I got to tell you, I love Blender. If you want to learn modeling, anybody who wants to learn modern modeling techniques, I say, download Blender. It's free, and you can really become you can do anything in Blender that you can do in Maya. You can do anything in Blender that you can do in ZBrush. The sculpting tools in Blender are wonderful. You know, my two primary tools are Maya and ZBrush. Those are the two things that I use on a daily basis. But Blender is a wonderful option. Now, that being said, there are many different programs in which you can make a 3D model. At the end of the day, what matters is your output. Are you going to do your animation in Maya, or are you going to do your animation in Pixar's standard? I forget what it's called.
Houdini.
Well, there's Houdini, which is more for special effects. I mean, people don't really do production animation for characters in Houdini. I mean, you can. It's just not done. Mostly, the animation of a character like Chris running through this building would be done in Maya and transferred to the game engine via an FBX file, which would contain the model, the textures, and the animation data. But the train just fell off the tracks. What was I talking about?
Industry standards.
Can you believe I'm 63? Chris Redfield is 63 years old now.
Oh my gosh.
It's I look fabulous for my age, but still.
Oh my god, I just got jump scared by that hanging zombie. Oh god. Fuck's sake.
There's cousin Jerry again, just hanging around. Oof, did I really say that? I didn't.
You've got a lot of cousins.
A lot of cousins. Well, Irish Catholics, so, you know.
That makes sense.
Oh, that
dear.
damn snake. Oh, now we're going to see my other character, Richard. Chris, don't go in there.
Oh, yes. We love Richard. Bless him.
I describe him as Chris with a hernia.
Oh, I always feel really bad for how he dies, though. In both ways. He either gets eaten by the big snakes, doesn't he? Yeah.
No, by the shark. He gets eaten by the shark.
Yeah. Oh.
The shark. Oh.
Sharky and George.
That's
How did you feel when you saw the finished, polished product of, oh wow, I am Chris Redfield in this really popular game?
I felt amazed. I felt amazed and honored to be a part of it. And I didn't even, after the game came out, I still didn't understand how much of a thing Resident Evil was was and how much it was going to become. Remember at the time, this was only the second version of the first game that came out. And so and there was no social media. I wasn't aware of how popular it was. I didn't have Google to check the sales numbers on it, so I didn't know that it was that big of a deal. And when I was finally contacted by Paul Freshwater from Crimson Head Elder podcast, he called me up one day out of the blue, and he had gotten, I forget how he got my phone number. He got it off of a website somehow. And I get this phone call, and I'm walking to lunch. I was working at Disney Publishing at the time, because after I got let go after Tangled, I went up to Lucasfilm for a film. My wife and I moved up to Novato, California, which is gorgeous. It's just north of San Francisco. It's up in the Muir Woods area, and Marin, California, which is absolutely gorgeous. If we ever win the lottery, we're going to move to Marin, because all the houses there are $3 million and up.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a very, very shishi area. And that's for like a 2-bedroom, 2,000 square foot house would be $3 million up there.
Bloody hell.
My God.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's absurd. It's absurd. But that's California. So I came back. We moved back down after that film was done, and I was working. So bloody sharks. I love these guys. Who has sharks in their basement? Come on. Unless you're Dr. Evil. Dr. Evil. Yes.
Frickin' sharks.
Frickin' sharks with laser. How difficult is it to get sharks with laser beams? Come on, people. Anyway, we moved back down, and I was working at Disney Publishing on some iPad games for kids, doing modeling for those. And I'm walking to lunch one day, and I get this phone call, and it's Paul. He's like, "Hello, Joe. This is Paul calling from London, and I have a little podcast called Crimson Head Elder Podcast, and I was wondering if you'd like to come on." And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Let's do it." So Paul had me on the show and interviewed me, and we talked, and then afterwards he said, "Would you like to be a part of this?" And I was very honored to be asked. I had no idea that there was a Crimson Head Elder consciousness out there in the world. That there were people who gathered together and loved the game and loved the characters, and so that's how I got involved, and then we just started doing more podcasts and trying to find some of the other actors, and I became friends with Peter Jessup, who voices Wesker, and Heidi Anderson-Swan, who voices Jill, and Hope Levy, who is Rebecca. Actually, the four of us are going to be at the SoCal Gaming Expo in Pasadena on June 8th and 9th. So if anybody is listening and you're in the Southern California area, come on out and see us. The four of us together for the first time in the history of Resident Evil will all be there signing autographs and, selling our merch and trying to make the rent. Well, we have an ad.
Oh God, I hate ads so much. They're the devil. Sorry.
I just heard a rumor that EA, the video game company EA, is going to start putting ads in their video games.
Really?
Which I think is the worst idea ever.
What?
It doesn't shock me at all.
That's ridiculous.
Agreed. Just barefaced greed. Really makes me sad. If Capcom ever does that, I will disavow my part.
I'm not Chris anymore.
You can shove Chris straight up your bum.
I mean, it felt really rewarding though, like it's being contacted by this, the Crimson Heads podcast, and thinking, oh wow, I've voiced this character, and actually there are loads of people out there that are really into this franchise, and especially as you say, it was before the time of social media, Google, all that. That felt brilliant.
It really did. It was cool. It was a bit hard to take at first. Because you know, this is my big claim to fame is Chris Redfield in Resident Evil. There's really nothing else that I look at as being a kind of a big deal. I think of Chris in this game as a big deal now. I do, not back then, but I think it's an amazing thing now because of there it goes. Turn the power on, yay! There you go, barbecued shark.
Yum. My shark steak for dinner. Lovely.
I've had shark.
Have you? Oh.
What did that taste like?
Tastes like tuna a lot, like tuna, like a tuna steak, you know, or yeah, it's good. Where was I going with that idea? Oh, right. So, but I've realized here's the thing about like all the the autograph signings. We're starting to do the autograph signings now, and my take on that is that Joe Whyte is not a celebrity. Joe Whyte is the voice of Chris Redfield, who is a celebrity. Chris Redfield is the celebrity. I just happen to be the guy. It could have been James Brown. It could have been Arthur Wilkenfeld who did the voice. It doesn't matter who did the voice. I just happen to be that guy. So I'm not a celebrity. I'm a collectible. Right? Which I'm fine with, let me tell you. Shark Steak would be a great band name.
Heavy metal.
You brought the character to life, and obviously you feel like, oh, I'm a collectible. But you've helped, your voice, the way that you've, acted all this out. You have brought Chris Redfield to life.
Yeah, but again, I don't think that most people, your average gamer doesn't really care who did the voice. It's the character that they love. It's the effect that of the character's arc and what the character goes through in the game that affects them on a level. I've had people come up to me and say that I was their hero when they were kids. And in my brain, I'm thinking of what my life has been, and I'm thinking, you need better heroes, kid. But I get it. The character that I was able to be a part of meant something to so many people, and it continues to. I've had fathers come up with their kids, sons and daughters, come up to me at the autograph table and say, you know what, I loved you so much when I was young, when I first played Resident Evil, and now I get to play it with my kids, and they're going to experience that same joy and fun kind of fear, and they're going to get to go through that experience too, and thank you for that. And that is the most gratifying part of this. When I hear someone say that, that just makes me feel, my skin tingles. I actually get the shivers sitting there at the table. Last weekend I was in Alabama, in Huntsville, Alabama, at the Game Jam South Expo. And Heidi Anderson-Swan and I were both there doing autographs, and so many wonderful people came up and were just so effusive and so kind, and commented on the quality of our voiceover, and that our characters are the ones that they look at as being the seminal ones from the entire franchise. And I got to tell you, it makes your head swim. It's a very heady experience. It's almost like alcohol. It's almost like being drunk. You get drunk on the kindness that people come up and show you. And I also came home with a really good chest cold. So there's also, they give you that as well. But
sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring, and biologicals do count. I got a comment. I just have to take a break here and say how well you're doing, Sam, in this game. You are kicking the living crap out of this game, and I love it.
It's because I've got a rocket launcher.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. That helped. Is that the infinite rocket launcher?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't play without it.
That, I got to tell you, when I first got the game, after it came out in 2002, I went out and bought a GameCube, and I bought the game because I had to hear what it sounded like, and I got sucked into the Resident Evil world. I am as much a fan of this game as I am anybody else out there in the world. And also, I want to comment on one thing:
Wesker?
the quality of this game. That Capcom knocked it out of the park with this game, with the visuals of this game.
Where's Jill?
That it still holds up today. That people
Yeah.
who you can go out and play a game as beautiful and visually stunning and perfect as Last of Us,
Anyway, we better find a way out of here.
or Village done in RE Engine, and be amazed at those graphics. This game still looks great. A lot of other games from the 90s and early 2000s cannot say the same thing. You can still play this game today and enjoy it the same way that you would enjoy playing Last of Us or Village or Seven or any of the other games that have come out on the new game engines.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you have to give Capcom props for that. A lot of people have said this is the best remake of a game ever made, and I have to agree.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm going to agree, yeah.
Yeah. I think this and then RE4, but this tops
Yeah, I
it.
agree. I fully agree. Fully agree. RE4 is probably my favorite game in the franchise.
Oh, really? It is good, though. It is really good.
So good. So
Yeah,
good.
speaking of, we've actually got Krauser from RE4 coming on in about 45 minutes. So that's going to be really fun. Yeah. So we're going to be doing some RE4 remake with him, modded. I might be playing as Krauser. God damn it! Stupid snake!
I may have to check it. I know this is...
It's going to be great fun. But yeah, it's... Oh, I got
shoot him
poisoned.
with the bazooka.
Overkill.
Snake paste.
Those poor snakes.
Make snake paste out of them.
Oh, yummy. Ah, dog.
Lovely. Lovely on crackers. Snake paste.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Please don't kill me, dogs. Please. Please. Oh, no, I'm on danger. Oh, shit. Okay, I'm fine.
Nightmare Cosplay said the Resi remakes are honestly fantastic, and Knights at Kendall's said remake is a close second, but this is just as perfect. Wait, where's the one I'm looking for? Snake-based. Someone said that all the remakes are great. I fully agree. I've played 2 and 3 remakes, and I love them. I really enjoy those 2. RE4, I'm now playing on Oculus. So
Oh, wow.
If you want to really get the shit scared out of you, go play RE4 on the Oculus, and you'll have jump scares that will make you jump out of your socks. I guarantee it.
It would make me need a sick bucket, to be honest. But
Yeah, it can be extremely disorienting. I experience that with my Oculus sometimes. My wife and I both have Oculuses. Oculi? What's the plural? Oculi, I suppose.
I like
And-
oculi.
Oculi. And we have a group of friends of mine from college that we get together with and play miniature golf with our Oculuses. And some of the holes on the miniature golf course are quite out there in space and whatnot, and I still almost fall over when I play miniature golf on the Oculus.
love it. Oh, no, I hate this room.
And give them a Snickers and they'll be fine. I'm not sure how is chocolate good for snakes? I know it's not good for dogs. I don't know if
I'm going to
snakes-
Google it, just out of curiosity.
get a nice Chucky for Wiggly Sam there.
No, you can't feed any fruits, vegetables, grains, or sweets to any snake.
No kidding.
Oh.
Okay, there you go. Strictly meat. Huh?
Yeah.
Come on, Chris. Push. I'm squished.
Oh, I don't like this room at all. Oh, I do like the artwork though. Love a bit of Caravaggio. Love it.
And you would know.
Oh, yeah?
Coming up, Sam. What have you got coming up in terms of novels? Are you working on any
I've
project?
got a new non-fiction book coming out in September on maligned women. That's finally coming out, so that'll be really cool. I'm excited for that. And then I'm starting work properly on my heavy metal book. So, yay!
Yeah,
That's gonna be badass.
Cannot wait. I want to read your book on the Borgias as well because I'm a history nerd.
Hey, we love
And,
history nerds in this house, okay? I don't have any spare copies, else I'd send you one. But I don't have any.
It's out there in the world. I'll find it.
Find
I have a
it.
particular set of skills. I will find it, and I will read you.
Oh, come on. Right, zombie man, let's go. Ah!
So I'll do a couple of voices for those of you who are in the feed right now. I was also in a little movie called Emperor's New Groove, and I was 8 characters in that film. One of which is the guard that says, "I'm sorry, but you've thrown off the Emperor's Groove." Well, that was one, and another one was the guard that says, "I've been turned into a cow. Can I go home?" It's that guy. And there's also the little assistant guy that goes on, Your Majesty, the girls are ready for you to see them. There's that little guy. And there's a villager who says, when Yzma says, "What was it you said your village doesn't have again?" And he says, "Food." I was that guy. There's my mind was blown. Yeah, that's the hardest part about the blowing of the minds is the cleaning up the bits on the walls afterwards. I'm also the guy at the end that says, "For the last time, we did not order a giant trampoline." Also that guy. There's the little car that goes down into the basement and it says, "Please keep your arms and legs inside the car at all times." That's me. I think there's one or two other ones. Oh, when they sing "Happy Birthday" to Cusco in the diner, I'm one of the diner patrons singing "Happy Birthday" or diner workers.
That's amazing.
Happy birthday from all of us to you. We wish it was your birthday so we could party too. Hey, that guy.
Oh, it's brilliant.
But that's, going back to the voiceover thing, that's the great thing about doing scratch dialogue. When you're working at Disney and you do scratch, sometimes your scratch dialogue is good enough to be kept in the movie. And myself, another person named Dara McGarry, a good dear friend of mine, she works at DNEG in London now. She has several voices in several of the films. Because she would come down and do scratch, and a bunch of other people too. John Ford, a bunch of my other friends, so doing scratch. The upside is that you might actually stay in the movie, and that's wonderful because it's a union gig. You get SAG hours, you get SAG pay. And that's a really good thing. That's how I got all the Disney films that I have voices in. Started out as scratch lines that were just good enough to be kept in the film.
That's ace, that is.
Love it.
It's brilliant. Like, you just go to work one day and you're like, oh, I'll do some scratch voiceover, and then bam, suddenly you're in a film.
You're in a movie. Suddenly you've got people asking you to sign a picture of you as a guard that's been turned into a cow.
Nightmare Cosplay asks, Joe, if you could go back and voice any character in the Resident Evil canon or Disney films, who would you pick?
Oh, that is such a hard question. Let me rack my brain. So, in the games, I think that I would... Oh gosh, let's see. What's the in Village. What's the last guy? The metallic.
Heisenberg. Carl
Heisenberg.
Heisenberg.
Yes. Which is funny because you know what my middle name is?
Carl.
Walter.
Oh.
So Walter Whyte.
Oh.
Okay. Heisenberg. If you can put all that together.
Brilliant.
Breaking Bad. Yeah, my middle name, Walter Whyte. And it's funny
You are
because
the
my
one
dad
who knocks.
My dad was also Joseph Walter Whyte. I was named after him, but he went by Wally. So he was Wally Whyte. My father was Walter Whyte.
Love it.
Neil Newbon, who is also one of my heroes, and also Jeff Shine, the new voice of Chris. I think he does a fantastic job with Chris. But yeah, I would love to do Heisenberg. I think that's a really fun character. Now, in Disney movies, my favorite voice, boy, maybe Vincent Price in the Great Mouse Detective.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, he was, so Great Mouse Detective, 1986, directed by two of, well, Ron Clements, Bernie Manson did. Hold on, let me just do this. Okay, so John Musker and Ron Clements are two directors from Disney that, if you don't know their names, they're two of the most famous Disney directors ever. They directed Hercules, they directed Little Mermaid, they directed Aladdin, they directed Moana, Princess and the Frog, Treasure Planet.
Oh, God.
I've worked on several of their films, and they are friends, and they are wonderful, and mentors, and I cannot tell you how much I love these guys. What's my point? What was I going for?
Favorite character to voice in Disney.
Right. So Great Mouse Detective. Vincent Price plays Professor Ratigan in that film, and what a wonderful character. A lot of people would think, well, as voiceovers go, the king of all the Disney voiceovers would be Robin Williams as the genie in Aladdin. The reason I wouldn't want to do that is because I couldn't. There's no way that I could match the level of brilliance or intensity or the improbability of Robin Williams. He was my hero when I was growing up. I had posters of Robin Williams on my wall when I was a teenager.
Oh, wow.
I loved him so much, and his passing just broke my heart. But yeah, I just couldn't possibly do him. I mean, also Basil Rathbone as Sherlock Holmes in that movie. I mean, yeah, I have to say, most of my favorite actors come from the golden age of movies, 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s, even into the 60s. Cary Grant is one of my favorite actors.
Kenadan asked, if you could choose to be part of any game, what game would you pick, or what character would you want to be?
Any game.
Any game.
Boy, maybe Alan Wake.
Oh, yes. Banger. Yes.
That would be fun.
That would be awesome.
Maybe, what's Snake, Metal Gear Solid. I like bad guys. Bad guys are fun to play because they're just so crazy, and bad guys don't think they're bad guys. Bad guys always think they're doing the right thing, and it's fun to play morally conflicted characters. Gosh.
What ones do I need? The red
I mean, yeah,
one.
my top choice would be Joel in Last of Us, but You know, I also haven't played that many other games. I got into after I think when did World of Warcraft come out?
Oh,
World of Warcraft
2004.
2004. I started playing it in 2005, I think, and that was my video game of choice for many years. At Disney, we had a guild called the Magic Kingdom, oddly enough, and we used to play all the time. Many hundreds of hours put into World of Warcraft. Didn't do any voices for Warcraft, but I did a bunch of voices for EverQuest 2, and I was playing that at first, but all the people at Disney were playing Warcraft, so I switched over.
peer pressure.
And what's great, yeah, exactly. What's crazy now is that you can still play EverQuest 2. It's still being developed by what is that? Daylight Games or something? Excuse me. EverQuest 2. And what's kind of interesting is that the company that took over EverQuest 2 from Sony, who originally Daybreak is the name of the Darkpaw Games, Daybreak game company. They never contacted any of the, as far as I know, they didn't contact me, any of the people who did voiceover for the original. I'm sure that they, when you do voiceover as a non-union actor, they own it. You don't ever get residuals or anything like that from your work. So they didn't have to contact me. They were certainly under no legal responsibility to contact anyone from the game about reusing their voiceover work. But I actually recently just started playing EverQuest 2 again just to see if my voices were still in it, and I was able to find several of my characters. So I am still in EverQuest 2 if you play the new iteration of it.
Oh, I love it.
And it's great. I love EverQuest 2. It was a fantastic game. I especially loved the score. Sony went all when they made it. All the score was, there were no synthesizers. It was all an orchestral recorded score, and just really fantastic music.
Have you ever done some scratch work and then watched the film or anything like that and been a bit like, oh, I forgot I did this?
Yeah, there are times. I have I have 3 voices in Meet the Robinsons, and sometimes when I rewatch the films, and I do because I have a daughter, and we've watched all the movies over the years, and sometimes I'm like, oh, that's me. There's in Chicken Little, I have several voices. There's the acorn mascot. There's this little, it's like a squirrel or something dressed in an acorn outfit, because the team was called the Acorns, the Okie Oaks Acorns, and he's bouncing around the field going, lean to the left, lean to the right, come on Acorns, fight, fight, fight. That's me. And there's the horse umpire. He's that's strike 3, you're out. That guy. And yeah, I forget that I do those sometimes, little ancillary characters, and you're watching the film and all of a sudden you go, hey, wait a minute, I recognize that voice.
That's me.
Cha-ching, residuals.
Nights at Kendall's is mind blown again and has to clean their walls.
I apologize. I hope your skull doesn't hurt too much from the mind-blowing experience. Oh, stalkers. This is about the time I usually find myself stuck in the safe room.
Oh, really?
With no life left and no herbs to smoke. Did I say that? To take to heal yourself. I'm not condoning anything, kids. Don't listen to Chris Redfield. He's an old man who's lived his life. You need to.
Hey, Chris Redfield was young and fresh-faced once.
He was.
I mean, look at him in this game.
I can't believe my skin was ever that smooth and clear. Now it's just wrinkled and leathery.
That cosplay says, "Oh man, we've got plenty of green herbs out here in California. Plenty of healing."
Yes, yeah, in Southern California, yeah, there. You can get any herbs that you want in Southern California just by walking into. Drugs are bad. I have to agree with you, Silent Brit 91, at least officially. It's not all smoke and mirrors. It was in the 80s, I can tell you that much. Mirrors held a very special place to my heart in the 1980s. Won't tell you why. Let's just say it was the 80s and we didn't know it was bad.
Anadan says, "Chris Redfield law unlocked. Nothing really happened in the mansion, did it, Joe? It was all hallucination, wasn't it?"
Right. It's one of those things where you went, it was just a dream. Or was it?
I'd be horrified if this was my dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty detailed dream.
Yeah.
Those green herbs are good for something.
Like I'm never going to sleep again.
You know, I have to just stop and say that I am also a huge supporter of the JDRF, and thank you, Sam, for doing what you do. We have several friends who, are experiencing diabetes as well, and that this is a cause very near and dear to my heart. Thank you, Sam, for doing this.
Very welcome.
And
yeah.
Shout out to all the JDRF people who do what you do as an organization.
Fantastic bunch of guys. Really are.
Yeah. Love it, love it.
So
Anytime you guys,
we appreciate you.
And in the future, I would actually love to work with the JDRF as well through Crimson Head Elder Podcast.
Yes.
We can do some streams for charity for you guys as well. Just contact me through Sam after this is over, and we can certainly set something up. That would be awesome.
Oh yeah, that would be sick. Brilliant. Only one of the biggest Resident Evil creators ever. You know, that's insane.
Well, we did a charity thing last year for gamers, for disabled gamers, and we were able to raise a couple $1,000s. So anytime that we can do anything for charities, if anybody has a positive charity that's out there having a good effect for anybody who loves video games or who needs even what I consider my low-level celebrity to bring people in to make money for a charity, totally down for that. Let's get those things going and try to get some of these ridiculous things solved. My daughter has special needs. She was born with tuberous sclerosis, and so we also support the TSC Foundation, trying to find ways to find cures for tuberous sclerosis. If you haven't heard of it, and a lot of people haven't, please get educated on TS, because it's a very hard thing to live through, and we highly support any charities that are doing work to solve these issues.
Legends. All of them. Absolute legends. Oh, shit!
Britt has said, "We will get Peril a new pancreas someday."
I don't have a save.
Oh, God.
Oh, that's
We'll get
brilliant.
you a nice shiny one. It'll be stainless steel. It'll be engraved. We'll do a custom miniatures paint job on it. It'd be really nice then.
That death was stone cold.
Oh dear. That was a clip moment right there. Oh God, I'm so embarrassed.
I think we are getting t-shirts with that on it, Silent Brit 91.
Oh, Never mind.
He just got her world rocked. Don't get me rolling.
We're blowing brains and pancreas here.
Pancreas.
Oh, fucking hell.
We've got oculi and pancreas.
Love
Yes.
it. Love it. Oh, God. Never mind. These things happen on a marathon. Just
They
saying.
do.
Never
They
mind.
do.
It's all good. It's all good. We're having loads of fun for a wonderful cause. So, you know, and big shout out to the community as well. We've had to up the goal. So, yeah, $510 we've raised so far. We've upped it. So,
Yeah.
let's go.
Sweet.
Yes. So,
Oh, is the cure? I mean, is the link for the thing out there? Can everybody see the link to making donations?
Just
it's
put it in chat.
pinned and it's in chat. Yeah. So let's go, guys. Let's go. We've got 3 hours and 20 minutes till the end of the stream. Can we match last year? Is the question.
Here we go.
Can we?
It's okay. So the link is just Tiltify.
Yes. Oh dear. I can't believe that. Oh, I'm so embarrassed with that death. Just Chris was feeling a little flat.
Okay, so it's for the Retro and Horror Marathon for a Cure for JDRF.
Yep. That's it.
And
Thank you for the clip, Joyce. I'm totally gonna put that up on TikTok. Brilliant. Broken than last year. Honestly, it's completely fine. Whatever you guys can do, or even just sharing it on social media, and just being here as well, supporting the stream. It's mwah. You guys are fantastic. You really are. Wonderful
Darren's
human
just
beings.
said, it's okay. Chris just wanted to rock and roll.
Oh my god. Can we get Joe to tell me to fuck off for a soundbite? I'm sure we can.
ready?
Ready?
1, 2, 3. Fuck off, Sam.
Yes!
Oh, for fuck's sake. Fuck right off. That's all.
Oh, that's brilliant. That is bloody brilliant. You're going on my stream deck. Oh.
My next claim.
Hey. We've got Andre Pena on there already, so he's the first person I got to tell me to fuck off, and we sound clipped it, so.
Fuck off then, okay?
Ellie just put it in there.
Nobody says that like the Brits.
True.
Nobody says the C word like Brits, and nobody says fuck off like the Brits.
You're damn straight. You should hear me at work sometimes. It's effing and blinding and see you next Tuesday and normally I would say it out loud, but
Here we go. Hold on.
we invented it. We did invent it. We did. Oh dear, it's really warm in here. Holy crap.
You know, that's what Paul said, actually, that it's very warm in England today.
Yes.
I know you guys are, he's in Bristol, and you are in, where are you, Sam?
Southampton.
Southampton. So you're not that far away, right?
No, not far at all, really.
Relatively speaking.
I was in Bristol the other week. If only I'd known.
Okay.
He's in your city. Are you in Bristol as well? Oh my god. Joe, no way.
It's the least.
Thank
Very,
you
very least.
so much. Holy shit. You're gonna make me cry. Holy crap. Thank you so much.
The least Chris can do.
My wonderful friend, guys, Joe Whyte. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, look at the chat going. Love it.
Put six or seven zeros on the end of that, but we haven't won the lottery yet.
Oh, one day maybe. I'd love to win the lottery. And then I'd just be like, right, I'm just going to buy a big house and a car, even though I can't drive. And 75 chinchillas.
Right. You'd have an entire, my father and his brother my father and his brother-in-law. No, wait. My mother's brother. So what would that make? So my father and my mother's brothers-in-law. Yeah. Back in the 60s, we used to raise chinchillas in our backyard. They had a little cage, and that was one of their get-rich-quick schemes. Was they were going to raise chinchillas and sell them for fur.
Oh no!
And then that didn't work out. I think they ended up with 2, and one of them died, and then they just said, kind of, forget that. Another one of their get-rich-quick schemes was to go out to the Nevada desert and look for uranium. They were going to become uranium miners. So they had this little metal detector, this little uranium detector, radiation detector, I guess, and they went out to the Nevada desert and couldn't find any uranium, so they gave that up as well. This was a recurring theme of my childhood.
Oh God, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Bad idea, yeah. Christ. Love it. Absolutely love
never
it.
met my father.
Oh dear me.
Uranium fever has gone and got me down. Ooh. I can't sing today. My voice is all messed up from
Any pyramid schemes? Like, who set up the goal to 1K? Oh my God.
JDRF.
That should be it. Yeah.
Imagine. We were really close last year, weren't we? That was crazy. Absolutely crazy last year. But I will up the goal. How do I do it on here? I don't know. Set up. Right. Okay. I think it's time for a break, chat, before we get into RE4 in about 10 minutes. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Where's the time gone? It's just flown by.
In my pocket.
In your pocket.
My Apple iPhone. Well, thank you so much for having me on.
No, thank
this has been a blast.
you.
I love all you guys very much. Thank you so much for liking the franchise and being Resident Evil fans, and for supporting the JDRF and Peralt, the ultimate Peralt, the Perultimate.
I love that. Oh my God.
Perultimate. All right, folks.
Oh, thank you, Joe, so much.
You're the loveliest
You're
of
awesome.
people. Best kind of folks, and I love you, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Thank you, Joe.
Ciao,
Bye,
ciao.
my dear. Mwah. Bye.
Ciao, ciao.
All right, guys. Fantastic. Amazing. Right, I'm going to take a quick break, and then we'll get set up for RE4 Remake with Mike. What an absolute legend. Joe is a very, very good friend of mine. He's an absolute gem. So nice. And thank you, Joe, for the $100, you absolute legend. But I'm going to go for a quick break. I will be back momentarily, and then we will get set up for Mike. And Meredith is going to be joining us in the call for questions. So don't go anywhere. I'll be back in a bit.